Okay, so there are very few things that I would say that I am good at. There are things that I am objectively good at, it seems, and I seem to do pretty well, and better than most people that I know, and better than a lot of people just in general. But I'm still not going to say, you know, I'm a great keyboard designer. I'm not going to say I'm a great electrical engineer or I'm a great mechanical engineer. I don't think that I am. There are a few things that I am convinced that I am great at. One of those things is handling troublesome customers, problematic customers. It's totally fine. That's always been the case. That is a natural talent or skill that I have, the patience that I have. And the other is troubleshooting. And the troubleshooting has served me probably more than any other skill that I have, is the concept of troubleshooting. Just the idea that something was working and now it's not working, and why. And to me, it's just a simple logic problem. If you have thing that works A, and then you apply change B, C, D, E, F, and then thing that works A stops working, well, just start stepping backwards across those changes. They undo the things that you did. Even if it makes no logical sense to do those things. Now, I'm not saying if you called your mom in between the upgrade process that you need to call your mom back and have your conversation backwards, but anything that might possibly be associated, or even tangentially be associated, or maybe even not be associated. I don't know, maybe you do call your mom. Maybe you do get to that point at like 11:30 at night and the server's been down for 5 hours. You're like, I'm gonna call my mom and talk backwards to her and maybe it'll start working. And who knows, maybe it does start working. I've certainly had stranger experiences than that. This is an aside, but the techie sense, the aura, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you know the aura, the tech aura, that is real. I've actually tested that a few times. And I've even done it at as a spooky action at a distance. Thank you, Einstein. I mean, maybe it's misattributed, but why would Einstein say he doesn't like spooky action at a distance? Like, that's not a scientific idea to say. I don't like that. I mean, it is not scientific. It is a gut feel, but whatever. The point is, the troubleshooting is, I know it's just a straight logical process. And when people hand me tasks that they have not been able to figure out, and I figure them out, it's just logic. It's just troubleshooting. It's just undoing things. That is one of the things that I do like about Vim quite a bit, is that infinite undo lets you literally step backwards in time over the for that file in order to say, well, if it was working yesterday and I changed a bunch of things and it's not working today, which one of those things was the problem? You know, where is my typo? Where's my issue? Where did I break something? And you can just step back one change at a time. Undo. You can even step back to a certain time of the day when you were editing the file and say, was this file working at this time of day yesterday? And that's pretty neat. But to be able to do that in other things, in hardware, in mechanical engineering, and testing things out, even in tuning a machine, like there's always something that you can undo. It's always something you can change, as long as you know what those changes are. I had kind of thinking about this because I had this experience. I have a project I'm working on, and all of the units, making 10 units, 9 of them work perfectly, and one has given me nothing but problems. I have swapped out multiple pieces of hardware, but what I didn't realize, if I would have stepped back and taken another look at all that I had changed, is that the SD card was not something that I had swapped out permanently. And the only reason I didn't swap it out permanently is because it would work. So what I have found is that this particular SD card, for whatever reason, is defective in such a way that if it is connected directly to a Raspberry Pi, it functions normally and works perfectly and tests fine. But if I plug it into a SD card extender, that particular card starts failing randomly. So it's an intermittent problem, and it's only associated with that SD card when using an SD card extender. I have no idea why that would be the case. I haven't tested it with SD card extenders that are shorter than 10 centimeters, because that is my standard for this build. But why would an SD card begin having difficulty working only when using an SD card extender, but work just fine directly connected? It's obviously some kind of perhaps slightly higher than normal impedance internally with the SD card, and that coupled with the impedance of the wires in the SD card extender, like, it just barely meets a threshold where it stops working. But that was ridiculous to troubleshoot, because I kept swapping out parts on it and it kept having the same problem. And when you think you have a problem with a Raspberry Pi and you swap out the entire Raspberry Pi after swapping out the card, and it comes back, you just have to like, is this position on my desk a problem? Like, do I need to call my mom and talk to her backwards? Like, you get to that point. It's unbelievable. I had absolutely no idea and no expectation that might be a problem. Never run into it before. All the other ones had no problems, but swapping them back and forth, that's the only thing I can think of. It's crazy. And I would not have guessed it. And I guess that's kind of the point. The idea that even if you can't guess it, even if you can't imagine it, just try it. just try stuff. This makes no sense, but I'm just gonna try it real quick. That's the funny thing about that is, like, I talked about the tech aura. I legit have a belief that the device exists in some, like, a CPU exists in some level of quantum superposition where, for whatever reason, it just might not work. Particularly if you have no understanding of why it shouldn't work. This is some deep theory right here. This is bottom of the iceberg stuff. Something about the CPU, the silicone, the electrons within the silicone actually exist at some level, within a quantum super. I mean, they can jump back and forth technically. This is at least the understanding right now, the current understanding. But I speculate that if you don't know how a computer works, the computer is more likely to break. Certainly the more complicated the computer, I don't know if, like, a calculator might not work for you. But if you don't understand how and why a computer should work, if you don't have any belief that the computer should work in this scenario, then the computer is more likely to break, it seems. I don't understand it. But that is my only real understanding for why a thing could not work, and then you walk up to it, and then it starts working. I had always imagined that this was something about that it was just, the person describing what they did. It's like, it's like you call them on the phone and you say, okay, click on the thing, and then click on that thing. And they go, okay, I did it. It's still not working. And you're like, oh, okay, you didn't click on the thing. Hang on, I'll be there. And you go over there, and you click on the thing, and you click on the other thing, and then it starts working. And the guy sitting at the desk goes, I just did that. I watched you do it. I just did that. And you go, yeah, right. Sure you did. It works. Have a nice day. And that can only happen so many times before you start to actually question. But you also have it happen with people who are, who are, computer literate, maybe not, technical, but definitely computer literate. Something they've done very often. They know how to do it. And it gets to a point where you show up at the desk and you say, did you click on this thing and then that thing? And they say, yes. Okay, and you go, all right, show me. Click on this thing, click on that thing. All right. Well, now I'm going to do it. And I click on this thing and I click on that thing. And then it starts working. And then your brain does like a 45-degree turn and goes, what? And I have actually done this remotely. I have my wife called me about something that was not working, and she described what was happening, and I said, well, if you did this and this, then it should work. She said, I did that and I did that. I said, okay. And I said, okay, and I believe I was texting her, and I was like, all right, hang on. And then I thought in my brain, wherever my brain goes or comes from, this should work. I understand that this should work. This needs to work. This must work if those things are done. This is a logical requirement. If this, then that, okay? This should work. And then I text her, try again. And she tries again, and it works. And if that's not spooky action at a distance, I don't know. This is like the religion thing. I don't have an explanation as to why. Why it works. I just know it does work. And this is why I'm not, this is pure troubleshooting. I'm not, I am interested in why, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't work because I don't know how it works. I have a moderate understanding of how CPUs work, but I know that they do work, and that seems to be sufficient. So there's some level of belief, some level of expectation. Don't quite understand it, but it's there. I don't know what it is. I have like 30 more seconds, so I'm just gonna sit quietly. Let you ponder that.